Chapter 8. The next morning, under the cover of Tutton's battery of guns, Lyon's army resumed its advance. Word filtered down that 5 men had died, 36 were wounded. Mike didn't know the men who'd been killed, so the statistics meant little to him. He was interested only in the order for the 2nd Kansas to advance past Doug Springs for 3 miles into McCullough Springs, where the army would look for and engage the Confederates. For 20 boring hours, the 2nd Kansas remained at McCullough Springs, no sign of the single gray-coated Reb before Lyon recalled them. The general had heard a large force of Confederates was moving to support General Sterling Price. There was a strong chance that their cavalry would cut into Lyon's army from its base in Springfield, 26 miles to the northeast. To make matters worse, supplies were almost depleted. "We're retreating? We've lost?" Mike was astounded when Harley passed on the news. "We haven't lost," Harley explained. "We're just moving our army back a ways to regroup." Mike must have looked as dismayed as he felt, because Harley said, "Have you ever played draughts, maybe chess?" When Mike nodded, Harley explained, "Pieces are moved here and there, back and forth. It's called strategy." "This isn't a game," Mike said stubbornly. "No, it's war," Harley agreed. "We've got to do what the general decides is best." That night they camped at Terrell Creek, which the springs provide plenty of fresh water. Throughout the camp, soldiers supplemented their meager rations with boiled ears of newly ripened sweet corn from nearby fields. The next day, Lyon led his army back to the outskirts of Springfield and ordered them to make a secure camp, allowing no one to leave or enter without proper credentials. "You'd better have us doing something pretty soon," Ben complained. "It's getting closer and closer to August 14th. As I said before," Harley reminded him, "don't count on getting out by then. If Lyon loses most of the volunteers, he'll have to retreat practically out of the state and lose Missouri. You think he's going to give up so easy?" "I don't," Mike answered loyally and went off to find Todd. On August 8th, a supply train arrived, providing many of the men with new clothes and shoes. Mike strode up and down in his new, well-fitted boots, thankful he could throw away his old pair of shoes, which had large holes in the soles and one missing heel. Without the new boots, he'd probably have been marching south to meet the enemy in bare feet. He chuckled to himself at a number of volunteers who complained about being issued crooked shoes. "Never had shoes like these before this," Ben grumbled. "One made for the right foot, one for the left. They're not as comfortable as the straight shoes I've always worn." Mike had seen plenty of straight shoes made with rounded toes to fit either foot. "Just be glad to have shoes," he said. Mike knew he'd either be heading into battle or retreating from Missouri soon. Everyone had been expecting marching orders for days, and on August 9th the orders came. Soon after the dispatch from General Fremont, in which he stated his decision not to send reinforcements, one of Lyon's spies reported McCullough's decision to attack the Federals the following day. Upon hearing the news, Lyon called a council of war. Most of the officers agreed that retreating from Springfield would be a disaster. As Harley explained to the cluster of men around it, the brigade would lose artillery and other equipment, ultimately the state of Missouri to the Confederacy. "Surprise is our only hope," Lyon said. Captain Dawes informed his men of Lyon's decision to attack that night. Officers hurried, ready their troops to leave. Mike, his heart pounding, began to pack. Sergeant Gridley looked at Mike's stuffed bedroll. "Leave it behind," he told Mike. "We have to travel as light as possible." As Todd prepared to join Colonel Mitchell's unit, Mike gripped his hand. "Good luck," he said. Todd's eyes were dark with fear. "Remember your promise," he said. "My promise?" "Oh yeah, the watch." "Of course I remember, but don't worry," Mike answered. "Just wish me good luck in return." "Good luck, Mike," Todd murmured. He grabbed his bugle and ran to join the colonel. He wouldn't be here except for my urging, Mike thought, watching Todd go, but there was no time to think about it. His army was ready to move. At 6 in the evening, with only 2 companies of home guards left to secure Springfield, the columns moved out. General Lyon's command, marching on the west, flanked along the Mount Vernon road, would cross Grand Prairie and attack the Southerners' left flank. General Sigel took his troops to fight against the Confederates' rear and right. The march began briskly, with some of the men singing loudly along with the drum beat, Mike among them. The Kansas volunteers outsang them all as they bellowed the happy land of Canaan. Close to midnight, Lyon ordered the end of the singing and drumming, as the noise might alert the enemy. A little after 1 in the morning, Lyon's advanced scouts discovered the Missouri State Guard's campfires and called halt. The men rested, only a few of them could sleep on the hard, bare ground. Mike, his drum close to his side, found Todd by the moonlight's gleam on his bugle, squatted down next to him under a scrub oak. "It won't be long now," Mike said. "Those Rebs won't stand a chance." "What time do you think we'll move in?" Todd asked. "Probably not until light. Too dark right now to know friend from foe." Harley stumbled over a tree root, plopped down beside Mike and Todd. "That don't beat all," he said. "I heard from Sergeant Gridley yesterday 2 rebel women spies, bold as brass but wrong as can be, got a pass to leave Springfield. Drove down to talk to McCullough at Wilson's Creek. Somehow they got the notion General Lyon was packed up, ready to retreat from Springfield." He chuckled. "General Price mad over the idea of the Federals getting away. Told McCullough he'd order the attack himself if McCullough wouldn't." Todd asked, "The Rebs are going to attack us? When?" Harley laughed. "They were going to start their march about the same time we started ours, only they had light rain shower. McCullough was afraid the rain would ruin the men's ammunition, which I understand is in short supply. Lyon's scouts discovered that the Confederates have withdrawn their pickets, thinking we'd turn tail. So they're set up for a surprise. In a few hours, those Rebs will find out they don't need to come for us. We already came for them." "How far away are the Rebs?" Mike asked. "Less than 3.5 miles, Harley answered. Grunting, he strolled to his feet. "You boys get your rest. You'll need it come morning." As Harley left, Todd murmured, "I can't sleep. Can you?" Mike sighed. "With all that's going on, how could anybody sleep?" A few minutes, Mike heard Todd's gentle snoring. He leaned against the tree trunk, staring up through the leafy branches at the smattering of bright stars. The camp was nearly silent, with only the sounds of sleep and the occasional rustle of underbrush traveling as the light breeze. Tears burned Mike's eyes as he thought of his family and the father he missed more than ever. "Dolly," whispered, "I need you. Be with me now." There was no answer, and by Mike's mind and heart filled with contentment, knowing that his father had heard him, he drifted off to sleep. Suddenly Mike started. Someone was shaking his shoulder. He looked several seconds to realize Sergeant Gridley bending over him in the darkness. "No call to reveille this morning, boys," the sergeant said. 4 o'clock. Wake the men quietly as you can. As Mike and Todd scrambled to their feet, Todd murmured, "Remember your promise." Shocked by the ghostly pallor of Todd's face, Mike said, "Todd, you know I will, but by this time tomorrow we'll all be celebrating a big victory over those Rebs." Without a word, Todd snatched up his bugle and disappeared in the darkness. Mike had no time to worry about his friend. He had work to do, and quickly. By the time the night blue of the sky faded into a pearly pink-tinged gray, Lyon's battle line had been formed across the way from the northern end of the Confederate line. With infantry in front and Totten's battery behind, the Union opened fire, and the Battle of Wilson's Creek began. Eager to join the fray, Mike hurried to his post at Captain Dawes' side, only to discover the 2nd Kansas was held in reserve out of sight of the skirmish. "Another wait? For what?" Mike grumbled. "What makes you so set in getting in the fight?" Ben mumbled in Mike's ear. "It would suit me just fine if we stayed far away from it." "Stay out of the battle?" Mike was indignant. "Just what are you here for?" Ben gave a long sigh. "Darned if I know. Right now I sure wish I stayed home." Mike listened for the booms of the cannons, the sharp blasts of gunfire, the cries and shouts. Through the hub he could hear the drum calls, and he squirmed impatiently as he clutched his own drum. "I'm a drummer," Mike thought restlessly. "I'm here, ready to serve. When am I going to get the chance?"